Hey yo, what's good guys? Welcome back to Anime Max. The concept of a black blade was first introduced in the series by Dracul Mihawk, aka the greatest swordsman in the world. During Zoro's training, we learned that whenever a sword is imbued with the colors of armament, its toughness increases drastically and it turns black. However, a black blade is one that is permanently imbued with Haki and remains black even if no one is holding the sword or channeling Haki inside it, which makes these blades highly unique. There are only two known black blades shown in the series so far: Shusui, wielded by the sword god Ryuma, and Yoru, wielded by none other than Mihawk himself. Then there are the Supreme Grade blades, also known as the 12 most prized blades in the One Piece world, which are regarded as the absolute best, with cutting edge like no other. Zoro currently has the Sandai Kitetsu in his possession, which he got from Logetown, which is an imitation of the legendary cursed blades. As Zoro masters his sword skills and Haki further with every passing arc, there is a real possibility of him converting his Sandai Kitetsu into an actual Supreme Grade Curse Blade. So let's dive into this intriguing theory and see if he will be able to achieve this hype-worthy feat. The Sandai Kitetsu is one of the great swords, and like all of its predecessor Kitetsu swords, this one is said to be a cursed blade. It was revealed in the Wano Country arc to be one of Kozuki Shiaki's prized creations. After sensing its quality, Zoro picked up the sword from a barrel of cheap katanas way back in Logetown. Tashigi later confirmed the sword's quality after looking over it from a catalog. However, the owner of the shop refused to sell the sword initially, as he informed Zoro about the curse. Zoro decided to try his luck with the sword and threw the sword in the air and held out his arm. The katana, instead of slicing his arm off, circled neatly around his hand. This made the shop owner give the sword to Zoro alongside the Yubashiri, impressed by his skill and luck. Talking about its abilities, Sandai Kitetsu has both superior qualities and strength compared to other swords despite being among the lowest grade swords. Sandai Kitetsu is highly regarded for its great sharpness, making it far easier for slicing things, which was highlighted when Zoro decided to test his luck against the curse, and the shop owner mentioned how he could have easily lost his arm. It was also able to cut a sea train carriage in half, as well as being durable enough to block blows from Kaku's enhanced Rokushiki techniques. Following the time skip, the Sandai Kitetsu grew even stronger, as Zoro learned to channel Haki through it. With this upgrade, Zoro was able to perform much more epic feats, such as cutting through the mountain-sized Pika multiple times during the Dressrosa arc, and being able to withstand Kaido and Big Mom's combined technique without taking any damage. On top of that, alongside the help of Wado Ichimonji and Enma, it was able to give the invincible Kaido a permanent scar, and best, the one and only King, a Lunarian known for being nigh invulnerable. This signifies the sword's immense firepower and durability and how it is able to catch up with Zoro's growth as a swordsman. The sword has already gotten a huge upgrade after Zoro learned to channel Haki in it, but looks like its growth might just have another level, which may make it one of the strongest blades in the One Piece world. So let's dive deeper into these theories, which may help us explain how Zoro might be able to turn the Sandai Kitetsu into a supreme grade black sword. As mentioned before, black swords are made black after a long period of time battling, which is a feat only those who stood at the top of all swordsmen have been able to achieve. So it is natural to assume that once Zoro is able to turn his Sandai Kitetsu into a supreme grade sword, he's definitely going to achieve the title of a master swordsman. In Wano Country arc, we see Gyukimaru mentioning Zoro being unworthy of wielding the Shusui, but eventually we will see him become worthy of not only wielding one, but creating one of his own. It is emphasized in the series that cursed swords tend to cut more than the user intends to, and Sandai Kitetsu is clearly shown to cut more than needed, similar to Enma. Once Zoro masters this ability of cursed swords, he might just be able to turn his blade into a supreme grade cursed sword. Back in Arlong arc, Zoro mentioned the heaviness of his swords, by which most inferred that he was talking about it in a metaphoric sense regarding Zoro having bigger dreams and ambition resting on his swords. Now, it is true that someone's will to achieve their dream does make their sword to be heavier, but there is enough reason to believe that it was more than a metaphor, as the will increases to exponential levels, since we know at some point will does manifest as Haki. We know that when someone uses haki in battle in order to make themselves stronger or tougher, they aren't exactly gaining weight in the same way, and similarly, swords don't get heavier when infused with haki. So when Zoro mentions Shusui being heavier, he meant it in the same way as when he felt Ryuma's will from his sword. Hence, Zoro could feel his swords and Shusui being heavier because of the will behind them. It is therefore safe to assume that once Zoro encounters even stronger foes in the future, his will would grow stronger, which in turn would make his sword to grow stronger as well. Eventually, as he becomes strong enough through countless death battles, he may be able to convert the Sandai Kitetsu into a supreme grade cursed sword. Another intriguing theory about Black Blade states that they have a personality of their own. In the War of Marineford, we see Mihawk say "Forgive me, Shanks" as he attacks Luffy, and according to many, this may have extra context to it. It implies that Mihawk was apologizing to Shanks as though he knows this is almost out of his hand. This may mean that at some point Yoru was able to grow at such a level that it developed a will of its own and was able to evolve into a Black Blade. The Mihawk who made his sword was a battle freak who lived for a dream to become the best. For this, he went all out every single time and essentially crushed his opponents while still maintaining proper sword practice that wasn't cutting virtually everyone. He just never went easy on anyone after deciding to cut them, which was clearly seen when he gave Zoro that massive scar during their first battle. Due to this, his sword was stained black with the will to go all out at every single turn with no restraint, especially during his legendary duels with Shanks. This fight was perhaps the main driver of the conversion of his sword into a black sword. Similarly, we know that Zoro has a strong desire to make Luffy the Pirate King and would go to all lengths to make his captain's dream a reality. To this extent, he even fought Kaido and gave him a scar that would last a lifetime. So as long as Zoro has that strong will and desire, it will cause his swords to evolve as well. We all know that Luffy is destined to become the next Pirate King by defeating the current Emperors of the Sea and will eventually fight with Shanks as well. Similar to what we saw in Wano, we may even see a fight between Shanks and Zoro, which may just prove to be Zoro's toughest fight yet in the series, and perhaps similar to how Mihawk was able to produce a black sword, Zoro may just be able to upgrade the Sendai Kitetsu into a Nidai Kitetsu. Another interesting theory states that perhaps the Conqueror's Haki is necessary for the formation of a Black Blade. Advanced Conqueror's Haki has different and unique uses when it comes to swordsmanship. They don't use emission in their attacks like Divine Departure or Roger and Whitebeard's clash or the way Luffy and Kaido fought. Instead, they put their will inside the blade in the case of Conqueror's Haki and control the will of the sword, being able to cut the hardest materials. Becoming one with the sword and infusing your will within it is perhaps the true meaning of a swordsman in One Piece. We also know that Enma would almost become a Black Blade at some point in Oden's life, and maybe this is related to the implementation of Conqueror's Haki inside the blade. It was revealed in Wano that Zoro is indeed capable of using Conqueror's Haki, and the way he uses it is similar to that of Oden's. So, once he learns to master that skill to infuse Conqueror's Haki in his swords, it may just cause his swords to evolve and become Black Blades. There is little doubt that Zoro, similar to Luffy, will eventually realize his dream of becoming the strongest swordsman in the world. As the story moves towards its climax, we are bound to see some epic battles that'll push Zoro to the next level. Since Mihawk currently has the strongest black sword in the world and retains the title of the world's strongest swordsman, it is only logical to assume that Zoro will be able to convert at least one of his swords into a supreme grade sword, and that Sandai Kitetsu is the prime candidate for it. If Zoro is able to convert the Sandai Kitetsu into a Nidai Kitetsu, it may just become the strongest sword and may even surpass Yoru, which will surely propel him to the top of the swordsman hierarchy in One Piece. Well, that's enough hypothesizing for today. If you found this video interesting, drop us a like and subscribe to Anime Max for more exciting theories of One Piece and many more on your feed. And ring that notification bell too to be notified of any latest uploads. With that said, we'll see you in the next one. Peace!